Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on our masterclass on being an event manager in the Stova registration module. I'm your host today and trainer, Steve McGillivray. I work in the Office of University Events and Protocol. I'm one of three Stova account managers here at ASU to offer you help and guidance and words of wisdom. And before we get started, I'm going to start with the housekeeping protocols that we always mention during our webinars. First of all, yes, this session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be shared with you in an email tomorrow after Zoom's done its processing and YouTube does its processing and so forth. Also, I'd like to mention that as we go through our system today, you may see a couple of different terms. You will see Stova. You will also see Aventry. You may even see eTouches. They're all the same company that we've been using for the last 6 years. They've just gone through a number of name changes over the years. And the branding still hasn't caught up to the latest name in some parts of the system. So don't be alarmed. We are in the same platform we've been in for 6 years. So as we go through today, we're going to talk about three major areas of the registration sites, or the special features of registration sites that are available to you. Feel free to post questions in the chat or unmute your microphone if I'm at a spot where I might have not mentioned it or talked about it very clearly. You're free to do that. I will pause, especially after virtual, for questions before moving forward to their sections, but at the end we will have time for all your questions for today's webinar or for anything else Stova related. So let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the virtual features that are available to you in Stova registration sites. We're going to talk about the check-in features that are built into a registration site. There are 4 different types. And we're going to talk about the badges, labels, and certificates feature for doing basically merges of your attendee lists with any of those products you need, name badges, labels, certificates, all that fun stuff that you just need for your events. So we're going to kick off with the virtual features, and the thing you need to know is that there are actually sort of 2 flavors of the virtual technology in Stova. There's the free version and there's the paid version. The free version is active now for you to use, and it allows you to use third-party video platforms such as Zoom, but also WebEx, GoToMeeting, any of those, any system that provides you links to send attendees to that technology. That's what you can use for free right now in the registration module. But Stova also offers enhanced features such as built-in webinars and built-in meetings. So if you'd like people to go into Stova and not have to go to a third party, stay in-house if you would, you can get those features if you make a contract with Stova. Now, if you're interested in those features, contact us and we will put you in touch with our account manager to get the ball rolling. We have a process in place where you basically are creating a contract with, or a statement of work with Stova, and then we contact procurement to get all the paperwork done, all the process expedited for you, and then you're able to use the system. Now, Stova not only allows you access to their technology for you to use, but they also offer trainings in the technology. They also can offer you direct support, actually personnel, to run those virtual meetings. All that's available by contract. But today we're going to focus just on the virtual features. Now, regardless if you use the free version or the paid version, what you get in both options is, first off, a login page, someplace to send your attendees where they can log in, one place to get all the links for your virtual event. And that login page then enters into a virtual lobby. where you customize information, show your agenda, again, show those buttons for links, and have few other bells and whistles if you would like. Now, the virtual lobby is connected to your registration site, so that means you automatically get access security. People have to be registered for the event before they can log in to the virtual lobby. It also means you've already got the event emails communication with your attendees for providing links before your activities or follow-up emails after the event. And you also get some reports. With the free version, the reports are very basic, and we'll go through what that means. You get more enhanced reporting if you contract with Stova for their built-in webinars and meetings. And you can also post videos, whether they're recorded in Stova or in your third-party platforms. You can post them after the sessions are over or the event is over, and then your attendees can go right back to the same virtual lobby in order to view those. So let's jump in, and as usual with the masterclass, I'm going to go to our support site and log in with my ASU Right ID to my user account. And my event is in my top level. This is the same event I've been building for the other master classes. And I should mention, this is a master class, so we're going to take our time in diving into these different features. I like to use the right button on my mouse to get this contextual menu so I can go right into registration settings. And so I'm going to go over to the virtual tab. Now, because nothing's activated, you only see a few tabs here. So the first step is to enable the virtual event. And it's going to ask you, do you want to be in test or do you want to be in active? If you're just setting things up, you should be in test. You do not want to be active until your virtual site is completely built out. So I'm going to just click continue with the defaults, but it's telling you here what the differences are. And then just to be on the safe side, I'm going to hit save and stay. Actually, it wasn't until I hit save and stay that you saw I have some additional tabs popping up here. So let's just go through these, are the most important ones for our purposes today. Once we've enabled this, we are in test event mode. This means anything that we do inside the virtual lobby, check on buttons and that kind of thing, will not be recorded for reports. You probably want to do a little testing in here. If you've never used the virtual platform before, practice. And if you are in the event you're going to actually share with your users, you definitely want to be in test so that your testing isn't showing up in reports or changing any of the settings. Down here, agenda and lobby, we have the option being a private event or public event. Private is really used for the Stova contracted features. If you're using built-in webinars and meetings, if you want to have speakers come in to those built-in sessions early, things like that, you'll want to use the private feature. But for people who are using just the free, I suggest you turn it to public, and this is going to make it easier for you to log in while you are testing. So I'm going to change that. I should mention something else that's happened besides all these tabs showing up here. Let me, yeah, I guess I don't have my head bubble in the way. I can show you. Another link has appeared over in the upper right below the event URL. You now have a link to that virtual lobby. This is the link that you would put in your emails when you're sending people to log in. Okay. So those are the things that have happened. Next, I'm going to skip modules for now because that's a bit of an explanation on what those do. The host tab is also used just with the contracted features. When you have the built-in webinars and meetings, you determine who on your staff should be able to manage the different sessions using virtual. I will go to dashboard. So dashboard will show you as people sign up and as people click the links to your third party, you can see them in real time. You can either look at the virtual session dashboard or click view full attendance and see who is going to what sessions. And you can select a session or select a person and see where they are going. Anyway, that is the dashboard. The recording tabs we'll come back to because this is where you can post the video recordings of your meetings. If you contract with Stova, those recordings can be posted automatically, but we're using the third party, and so we'll have to post those manually. Next, we'll want to talk about theme editor. And this is how you customize the look of your login page and your virtual lobby. Now, don't confuse this with theme editor for your registration site. These are two different things. Similar as far as how they function, but they are separate on what they are customizing. And here you're seeing a preview of what the login page will look like. We have up here the navigation for login page versus lobby page. Down below here are the fields that you can customize to display here, and on the right an image that you can post here. And on the far right is, like in theme editor for your registration site, this is how you can customize what's displayed over here. The content block or the login panel, you can see the one-to-one. So this is saying event name and event start date is displaying here. Lovely. Headlines here. Intro text here. Now I just want to point out a couple of things about these fields. First off, they are pulling in merge codes. So if you'd like to use those merge codes, you can. Or you can simply customize the text however you like. You'll notice that there are character limits to some of these fields, so just keep those in mind. Intro text is the only field on this page that has any kind of HTML formatting. So if you want to format or you want to put in a link to a support page, you can do that here. Again, a character limit. So that's all in this section called the login panel. Whenever you make a change to anything in theme editor, before you move on, I suggest you hit the, oh, that's my head bubbles in the way, hit the save button. Okay. All right, after the login panel, we have the login background, which is really this area here. And a word of advice about this area, I would try to find an image that just gives a feeling of what the event is like. I would not put text in your image and try to display it here because this image changes depending on the device that your attendee will be logging in through. You can see that up here in the upper right as a way to see mobile versus desktop. And you see how that image, sure, we go side to side here, but back on desktop, the image gets cut off. It's actually going underneath the login block. So I've had clients who've tried to put text in here. It can be very finicky, trial and error if you need to do that. But otherwise, I would suggest not really worrying about it. Put an image that just represents your event. Okay. If you want to do more customizing of your theme, you can do that below the theme editor section. You can want to deal with colors. If you want to change the header logo, which is here. Now, if you remember, if you've had our previous trainings where I've talked about these features, you'll see this in Stova where they have a drag and drop feature, and my strong recommendation is never use these drag and drop features where you do not know where the image is going, because it's going to go someplace where you will never see it again and it will eventually disappear. You should always find the feature where you can select the image from your database. that will put you inside your unit folder where you can update. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I could spend quite a bit of time if you've been to one of our other master classes where we talk about theme editor. Same thing. You can drag and drop in here because you know where it's going, but not up there. So I've already gotten these images uploaded. I'm just going to select one. Now my image has been updated for my event. Again, go to top, hit save and stay. You know, if you want to change to the typography, if you want to change what the buttons look like, feel free to do that. Next, we'll look at the lobby page. So after they log in, this is where they will go, and this is going to give you just a sample view of what the virtual lobby looks like with some placeholder text. Again, the section on the right allows us to customize it. The lobby header is up here. If you want to use that text or edit that text, you absolutely can. So it has a headline and then a lead paragraph, and you can choose the fonts and backgrounds here. Let's pick maroon for my event. Lovely. Looks like I can also put a background image there if I wanted to. Go save that. Next section, the lobby hero. So this bubble here in the middle of your screen, this is the hero section for more customizing. If you do not want any text in that section, just delete it, and you can see it pops right away, changes right away. No HTML fields here. What you see is what you get as far as display, though you can decide whether or not you want this description to display automatically, or if you want people to have to click a more link to see it. Okay, here's where you can choose that image, but here's kind of a cool feature down here, add video to image. So if you want to make a video introduction or maybe instructions on how to use this page, you could make that video, put it on YouTube or Vimeo, share the link, post it here, and then this becomes a little movie screen where people can play the video here in the virtual lobby. I think that's kind of cool. Okay, before I move on, I'm going to hit save. Lobby background, that's just this gray area back here if you would like to adjust that. Next is custom header and footer. So where are the headers and footers? Well, the header is here, and the footer is here. Where is here? I don't know why this where the header goes, but this is where it goes. Footer goes all the way down here. Not a great look. And it's also not an HTML field. Oh, it is an HTML field. Okay, great. So I could center things here. This might be a good place for sponsor logos that you want to show up all the time, or any of the legalese you need for your event. But yes, nice. And you can put images because that's what you can do in HTML fields. Okay. Now in the middle here is where you see a sample of what your agenda will look like, and this is how it will display. It will show the first date of the event. It will show the first session here and things like how will that display in my virtual lobby. If I have a description of the session programmed in Agenda Sessions, I have a View More link to be able to see that. But this is what the button will look like when it's active. And if I have posted a video recording, this is what I see. Okay. One thing you're not seeing here, and I don't think I'll have to see if I turned it on my demo or not, is if you have selected a time zone that's different from Arizona, or one of your attendees comes from a time zone that's not whatever the registration site is set for, they will see an extra feature in which they can change the times listed to whatever their time zone is. The system's smart and knows what time zone they're coming from. Okay, this is pulling information from the speakers tab of the registration site. Okay, I think we are done with that. So because I've just activated the virtual module here, it takes a while for the system to spin things up. So I'm going to switch over, sort of like those old-timey cooking shows where the chef puts the dish in one oven and then opens the other oven door and it's done. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to go over to my other prepped site, which has had this on for a while, because now I can actually go to the actual login page. Okay, if I tried to log in to the old site, I might get an error message, and it just means it is not ready yet. Also, you will have to be registered for the event before you can start testing login, because that's how the system knows who is logging in. I've selected two fields here to use. One is the email address that comes with the registrant, and then the second field that I've created called the event password. I'll show you how I make that in just a second, but let's just log in here. Here we go. The system remembers me. Oh, what have I done? Let me check to see what my settings are. Oh, that's what you get when you're not set to public yet. You get that is one of the error messages you get. So let's try a refresh. And all right, here we go. So this again is actually pulling information from my Expo demo site. And as I said, we have the dates for my sessions here. I must have set this for a different time zone, so I could see the time zone thing as the demo. And you see a few sessions that have join buttons and a few that do not. Why is that? Well, it's because I have to now go into the sessions themselves to program the links. So let's go back. And now I'm going to go to Agenda Sessions, because this is the other thing that's happened now that I've activated virtual, is inside my sessions, I now have a new section in the editor for virtual sessions. I'm going to enable virtual sessions. It may default to the event tree. See here, the event tree. It should be Stova. Virtual event platform. These are the built-in features that you must contract for. We want to use down here the external technology feature. So if it's not selected, do select that. Down here, again, we're not using the host feature. That is for use of the contracted features. And down here is where we post our links to our Zoom sessions. Let me see if I can remember what my... Oh, good. I remembered my little code. I tend to put... I know we're not using the host feature, but just out of habit, I tend to put the link in both. You'll probably make a Zoom link for each session, so it's different, but that's your call how you set things up in the third-party platform. The other feature you have is in the internal notes you want to write here for your staff. And the only choices you really have, settings-wise, is when will the button to join the session become active. It defaults to 5 minutes before the scheduled start time, but you can set it for any of these. So just be aware of this. System is not doing anything to the third-party platform. So in my example here with Zoom, I have to be in the Zoom room before anybody can get into it. This is just telling the system when can attendees click the button and come in. Okay, I'm going to leave it for the default for Zoom for 5 minutes. Okay, now if I go back to my virtual lobby and just give it a page refresh, there is that button. And it's grayed because, well, we're not anywhere near the date yet. But 5 minutes before the session start time on that date, this button will go from this grayed out maroon color to solid maroon, and then people can click it and join. And it will work just like if you had given them a link in my Zoom example here, just like you have given them a link to Zoom. It will open up a web page, say, do you want to see the Zoom in the web browser? Do you want to go to your Zoom app? So whatever that process is for that third-party technology, this is just a place to securely place all the Zoom links and provide your attendees with a convenient one URL to go and find them all. Okay. Getting my head of myself a little bit here, I should talk a little bit about navigation here in the virtual lobby. Over on the right, if you're, I should get rid of my head bubble again. Over on the right, clicking on the toolbar here is a way to get to a little help guide that opens up to web pages. So if your folks need some tech support, they can go here. This is also just opens a web page. So if you wanted to copy the URL after you open this and share it in an email before the event, they could look at those tech docs before they even enter the virtual lobby. Next to that is the notification system. So we do have a notification system built into the mobile app side, which allows you to send push notifications. And some features do send emails. And this is where attendees would see those. And then over on the far right can be your just the attendee's profile and a way for them to log out. Over on the far left, these are the modules. I skipped over that tab and we'll go back to them now, but these are extra features you can turn on for the virtual lobby. They're actually modules used on the in the mobile app platform, but they're being used here. And if you decide to add a mobile app to your event, they work together. They're the same module in both the mobile app side and the virtual app side. Let me go back and I'll just give you a quick tour of these features. I'm going to go back to virtual, now back to modules. I'm not going to go into details about all of these. They give you a brief description on what it is that they do as modules. To activate them, you simply turn them off button to on. And if you want to deactivate them, you don't want to use those features, simply turn them off and they will eventually disappear from your virtual lobby. But briefly, event info is just pulling your event description from event info details page and the dates from that page. If you want to have a list of attendees to share who has all registered, this attendee module is pulling the registrants from the registration side of things. If you have used the speakers tab under agenda and options, speakers will display here with their profiles and their bios and whatever you've entered on that section. Exhibitors, if you are doing a trade show like I am and you have a category specifically for exhibitors, you can highlight them and get a list of them here in the exhibitors module. Same thing with sponsors. Sponsors category usually syncs with sponsors module. Event feed is a bulletin board feature for folks to be able to chat among themselves, posting messages and letting other people respond to those messages. Chat is a direct message feature, so attendees can send a DM to one another. Q&A is interactive feature, as is polling, as is rating reviews. You can turn that on so people in those sessions can post questions or rate and review sessions. it's kind of your call since we're using the free version and it's just third party. It's your call as to whether or not any of these are useful to your attendees since they're going to be leaving your site and going to Zoom or GoToMeeting. Your call if you want to have something like this open on the virtual lobby. But if you're using the built-in features, then they might be more useful to you. Ads, there's a way to show basically little banner ads on the virtual lobby page. Conference bag is a way to post documentations, slideshows, PDFs, docs to sessions. And news is just a feature for pulling news feeds from social media sites. Okay, so you can turn on any or all of those. Checking my outline here. Okay, so the question we usually get is, all right, I've created my virtual site, or even not creating the virtual site, but you have a virtual link. It's the same question. How do I share those links? Well, you want to do that through, all right, I'll carry on with this train of thought, and then I got to share something else with you that I forgot to pick up. You would do that using the event emails, sending that information. The way I do my virtual events is I tell folks in the confirmation email that links to the event will be shared with them 24 hours before the event. That way, hopefully, I'm heading off the people who just want to see a link immediately. I don't think it's a good idea to share the link to the virtual lobby far in advance because I'm still working on it. So give it to them right before. They won't lose it. If they come in the day before, everything should be set up and they can look around and use those special features. No problem. I will also send them a clone of that email the morning of the event. In fact, the morning of each day of the event, just so they have it right there conveniently for them. And it's a custom email. Here's my email where I've customized, and so a couple of things. When you activate the virtual event, you get a special merge code for the virtual lobby. I don't know why it's called this, but it's called My Agenda Login. I think that's just a holdover from when Stova created the virtual event site. You can find these and other merge codes, as always, by clicking the View Merge fields here. See if I can just do virtual. How about lobby? Nope. All right, agenda. Thank you. So you've got 3 different merge fields here that are just for the it was called the agenda page. Originally it was called virtual lobby. It was called the agenda page. That's why it got to be called My Agenda. But these links work with the virtual features. So I'm using this agenda login URL only behind that button. Use whatever you need. And although you could also copy that lobby URL directly and paste it as the direct link if you prefer. Your call on that. But just as an idea on what to put in your email, information on how to join, and just a little tip here. I like to list the credentials that people will need to log in before I give them the button. Because quite often if I do the opposite, they'll click the button first before reading what their credentials are. Information on what happens after they log in. So if they are readers, they'll get more information. And then this information, I will also post this information about how far in advance that they can get into a session. I will post that on the virtual lobby page and hope that they read it, because that seems to be the biggest tech support issue, was people saying, I can't get into my session. And it's like, well, the session, you're 10 minutes early and the button doesn't become activated for 5 more minutes. So wait and see. But we try. We try to give the velvet glove where we can. Little information on tech support. Think about that with your virtual events. How are you providing tech support to your attendees? How can they contact people if they're having issues either before or during the event? And do you have any specs for your platform they need to be aware of? Just some common courtesy stuff. Okay, but this is where I wanted to come back to the event password. If you recall, for my event, I create a special event password. How did I do that? Why did I do that? Well, I did it to add a little event security and because it makes tech support a little easier. What I have done in my virtual events is I create an event password field that adds a common password to all the event attendees, but they don't see this field. It happens automatically. And I do that, again, for tech support reasons. If everyone has the same password, it's really easy to troubleshoot. It's just their email address and the event password. This is just a single line of text field, and down here at the bottom, I have entered a default value. And I've also selected a merge code, a custom merge code that I can use back in the email to provide it. So when I contact them to let them know how to log in, I can say, this is the event password. Now, after I've created this field, I have to go to Event Info, Registrant Rules, and those fields are selected here under Registration Modifications. So this will affect modifications as well. If you're allowing your attendees to modify their registrations, just keep this in mind. Here's where I've got the address field, and here's where I select the event password. Now, if you want a different login situation, you want to make something you think even easier, you can select any account level field. I don't have anything available to all my users, but it'd have to be a field that all categories have access to. Maybe you want to use the last name field, make it really easy for the person to log in. That's your choice. Whatever you do, make sure you spell that out in the login, instructions to log in email you're going to send. But you also want to look at your emails if they've come from the ASU template. We have put language in there on how to use the modification feature, how to log back in to modify. If you're not allowing people to modify, get that text out of there. If you are allowing attendees to modify their registrations, update that text because it says what fields they should be using. It's the same language I use, which I showed you for logging into the virtual event. Okay. All right. How are we doing on time? Anything else I need to share? No, I think that's it. Anything over here that I forgot to mention? I don't believe so. So I think that's going to conclude our tour of the virtual. Again, I'm going to pause here because this is a little complicated setting up and using. But I wanted to stop here for any questions just on this virtual section, on this virtual tab. You can either unmute your microphone or you can just post it in the chat. Okay, hearing none and seeing none. If you think of questions later, that's fine. We'll have time at the end. But now let's move forward. The next thing I want to talk about are name badges. So let's go back in here, and I'm going to go back to my original site. And you'll find the name badge feature under Reports and Functions. Under On-Site Functions, Badges, labels. Now we give you a few default ones, which you're free to use. They're built at the account level, but typically you'll either want to use these as the basis of your own name badge, or you're just going to straight out create your own customized badge. To create your badge for your event, click the New Badge button and give your badge a name. Let's make a badge for the attendee. Next thing you want to do is pick a stock. Now this is a list of stocks that we have pre-programmed in Stova. If you are using a stock that's not on list here, number one, if it's a manufacturer that's listed here, like Avery, double check your stock number versus all the compatibilities. Avery's are crazy for how many different stock numbers actually are the same badge template. So that's number one. Number two, if it's a manufacturer that's not listed here and there's no compatibility with any of these, contact us. Give us some samples if you can, or give us at the very least manufacturer's name and the stock number, and we'll do the research and program that for you. We have a lot. I think we have the majority of most used name badges, at least used in our department, along with some other things for roll printers and that kind of thing. But you want to pick the stock first. I'm going to pick this one. Next, I'm going to change the font to something brand oriented. And then before I move forward, I'm just going to hit save and stay. Now, as soon as you have selected the stock, this little preview window appears, and this is where you're going to design the badge for everyone. Over on the right here, little navigation, you can zoom in, which I typically do because my eyes aren't as young as they used to be. And as the only button here, we're going to add content. And here are our choices. So we can add images or logos. We can add information from the event site or from the registrant, or just create custom text. We can also show session selections here. We can also show QR codes or barcodes here. Let's find a logo. These are our choices. I'm going to pick one from the database, my unit database. And let's do that one. Okay. Now I'm going to do this demo correctly because I was reviewing my notes. I kind of stumbled on this. And it says to lock proportions of this image, and it sounds like I should do that now. It's like, don't do that now because it will not listen to you. You should eventually lock proportions, but this is how you should do it with a logo. Save it, and this is what it looks like when you first save it, whether you have proportions clicked or not. To edit this, I'm going to click on the image. There I get all the tool holders, and I'm just going to, just by eye, that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit save and stay. Lovely. Now I'm going to go back in. Down here I've got two choices. With any block that shows up on my badge, I have an edit button or a delete button. I'm going to hit edit. Now I'm going to hit lock proportions. Now I'm going to go save and exit. And at least it did the last time. Yep. Okay. It's not the way it should work, but you do what you got to do. All right, so there's my event logo. Before I click off and add more content, after doing a little jiggling on every block, do yourself a favor and hit save and stay, because if you don't, things will go right back to the way they were before you made the change. So that's logos. Let's add some information here. Let us add some text. I have my choice of simple setup or advanced setup. The difference is how many fields I'm displaying at one time. Let's find our event name. It's the attendee info. Down here, sessions. Down here is event info, my event name. Lovely. I can customize its alignment. I'm just going to use defaults for now. Maybe between having the logo and an event name, maybe that's superfluous, but all right. Actually, I'm remembering now that I could also, I did use one of these features. What did I use? I used the border? No. If I turn off transparency on the background, I can pick the color. All right, FFC. That should be ASU Gold. Again, deep dive into features. So for any of these blocks, you can also choose visibility. So if you want to make one master name badge and then some information shows up to one group based on their category, but not for others, you can do that block by block in the same name badge if you would like. Okay, that's cool. Hit my save and stay. Now let's add some names. Now you would think that, well, you're going to add first name, last name. You probably want to use the advanced setup feature where I can add more than one field. No. And the reason I don't do that for names especially is down here is a feature for dynamically shrinking font size for all content, which sounds great for those really long hyphenated names that can either be truncated or cut off by accident, except this feature does not work with the advanced setup multi-lines. So for names, I tend to go for single lines, one for the first name, and like big first name so I know who I'm talking to. And yes, now I can activate it. It will, if I get a big long first name, I can, the system will automatically shrink that for me. And then unfortunately I can't clone these. I have to go back in here, find the last name field. Still a little smaller, but dynamically shrink. Thank you. Something else I should point out is that if you would like more precise control over these blocks, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, as soon as you select a block, you get a way to position it exactly based on pixels. So far left would be 0, how far from the top, how wide this is, etc. You can do that, and you can rotate it if you want to get really fancy with your design. I think that's kind of neat too. All right, I'm going to call that good for our attendees. I'll just keep that as my general for everyone. But let's also make one for our exhibitors. I want to use the same layout, but add a little extra feature to them. So I'm just going to clone my attendee badge. Now I can edit. Let's see if I, yep. So it's kept the stock's the same for me, and it's got this same layout. I'll keep that. Another thing I can add, though, besides a image in my database, is I can also add images that have been uploaded during the registration process, which I did for exhibitors. I'm not going to let that fool me again. Again, this name badge is just going to be used for exhibitors, so I don't have to use the categories. And do a little resizing. We'll put that down there. I'm not going to worry about constraining proportions during the demo. And now let's add their company name. It should be another field. Actually, let's now use the advanced setup so I can show you how to do this, right? This is supposed to be a deep dive. And we'll add the person's title and their company. Okay. So why is it asking for over here for a new line? Well, if I was doing this for a first name, last name, I might want the first name and last name on the same line. So I believe it's, if this was the first name, the answer would be yes. If this was the last name, the answer would be no. So they would all show up in the same line. In this case, I want to keep both. Prefix and suffix are just open-ended fields where you can put whatever text you would like. I'm just going to hit save and stay so I can save my fields. Why do I have edit buttons? Well, now you can override this basic formatting. So let's keep that there. I'll keep it colors fine. Save that, and I can do something different for the second line. A little bigger. All right. And what I just did there overrides what's here. So we'll see how that looks. All right, I'm going to call that good. So now I've got my two custom event badges. If I'm just going to print these before the event on stock, before the check-ins, what I would do is click the Run button here for that particular badge. Now we go into badge generation. You tell the system what statuses do I print, how do you want them ordered. It defaults to last name sort, then first name. Which categories do you want to print? Again, these are attendees. I probably just want general admission. Next, you decide number of badges per PDF. What's this about? Well, if you had a lot of registrants, what this system does is it generates that many badges per PDF file. So if you're just in the testing stage, you want to generate some files to see how it looks. You probably want to go a little lower than this. But when you get into production, you might want to go a little higher than this. Just one warning is the higher the number, the longer it takes the system to generate that file. I usually stick to the defaults, maybe go up to 50. So for example, here I just made 10. Now I've got these two different files. Then to see the file, I have to click on it. Let's see what my browser does here. Okay, it opened up in the browser. So here is a sample. What I got going on here? Well, the event name went longer than I allowed it to, or that I wanted it to. So I either have to reduce that font or put in that dynamic reduction. There's the first name, there's the last name. Okay, not too bad, something easy to fix. If I was ready to print, I could download that file then and then send it to my printer. But from here, I can go back to the edit badge. Takes me right into the template. Now I can go back in here. Let's see what I got going on here. Do I have dynamic? I do not. And out. And it takes me back here. Go hit run again. Save my previous settings. Lovely. Much better. Okay. If I want to go back to the list of badges, just click that back button. What does other exhibitors look like? This time I just want that category. Let's sort this by looking for a company. There we go. Company name. I don't think I've got a last name, but what the heck. Keep that to 20. How do my logos look? Okay, same thing. Because I cloned it, I didn't make a change before I ran these, so it's something else to do. I'm not sure why the logos aren't displaying, because I know I just uploaded those, so I've got something to check before I run these. But that's what you do. Do your testing, and then get ready to run. Now I don't know if this ever happens to you, but say you've done the event, you've already pre-printed all of your name tags for the registrants, who successfully registered by the registration close date. And then you've got these people who've come in after the close date and registered, and your boss says you got to do it, and they need name badges. What do? Well, you don't have to rerun all the name badges. To get those folks, you can run name badges from the registered list. The first thing you need to do, though, is you need to activate those badges. That's what the active button is here. Let's just say we're doing this for attendees, and now I'm going to go to the registered list. And we'll pick a few registrants randomly. And I can use this with checked records feature, where it has a generate badge feature. I only had one name badge activated. I could have multiple name badges activated on the badge labels certificate page. If I did that, I would get a screen saying, which one do you want to use for this group? Okay, so you can do more than one at a time, or more than multiple batches at a time. So there I am. Now I can send this to my printer, and I've got those late folks badges ready to go. Okay, there's another way of printing name badges, and that is at check-in. You can have label makers that can print name badge stock at your check-in table, so that as soon as a person checks in, the name badge is printed. No need to pre-print the name badges. First thing you need to do if you're going to set up these settings is make sure that your registration site is live. Okay, good. I'm just checking. Yes, mine is live. That feature is also under reports and functions. But before I jump into there, let's talk a bit about what your different options are. So there are 4 different check-in features built into the registration site. Something called mobile check-in works great on an iPad or a tablet. It also works on a laptop. But it seems really built for mobile being a mobile device. Self-scan uses a laser scanner connected to a laptop, and then you need to provide the attendees with a barcode, usually in an email. There are merge fields for that. And they bring them either printing out the email, or they can display the email on their mobile device, and you can scan from that. Public self-check-in is similar to self-scan, but you're asking for those 2 fields from modification permissions to use to verify them, and that can be set up. Self-scan and public self-check-in can be used in a kiosk mode where people can do it themselves. And finally, there's administrator check-in. This is really for you. It is a feature-rich way of finding, locating attendees, and then simply checking them in with a checkbox on a long list of names. So let's go into these one at a time. I'm going to start with mobile check-in. If you click the name, you're going to go into the page. If it has an edit button over here, there are some settings to set up. But mobile has everything under its name. You just click the name, and now you click on these settings. The first thing you're going to want to do is turn on the direct link. If you don't have your site live, you may get the error message that you cannot do that. So this is the link you would open up on your mobile device. I'll click it here. I didn't put a password in it, but this is ready to go for me to start checking in attendees. You're allowed 4 different fields to search from. By default, you get first name, last name, email address, and company name. It's going to give you the name of the event at the top, these 3 tabs for you to use. So a list of all the attendees, a list of who's not checked in. If you prefer to see who's left at an event, click this middle tab. Or if you want to see who is checked in, click this tab here. Let me see if I've got any of my regulars. Oh, I can't hit the... Okay, that person's not there. Let's try that. There we go. Okay, so now I found my person. I just click on her name, or touch in the case of a laptop or a phone or tablet, and now I can check them in here. If I made a mistake, I just touch the button again, and they're ready to be checked in. You'll notice that as an icon, if they're not checked in, it's a empty outline here. If I check them in, okay, it's displaying them. They are here. Okay. I can do a quick and dirty registration on the fly by clicking the little registration guy here, and it's again, these are the 4 fields. So if I just need to register somebody quickly to get them in, I can do that in mobile. Enter the information here, register and check in quickly. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice I cannot see here in this view, I cannot tell what category they're in. So this is showing all the registrants. That's what the system's designed to do. There's no filter here for different categories. Let's go back over here. What else do we get? So you can put a password on this. Generally for setup, what I do is I set up the check-in tables, and I will post this link in either a flash drive or email it to myself that I open up on those laptops or tablets, and to pre-launch that and get them all set up for my staff. Preloading, it sounds like a good idea, but you'd have to manually preload a list, so it's not preloading the list that exists, FYI. Down here is where you decide which 4 fields you use for searching. As I said, the default are first name, last name, company, and email address. If there's a different field that you want to use, ASU Right ID or something else in your registration, you can select it here. And that's all you get for mobile attendee check-in. Okay. All right. Next most used, I think, is the self-scan. Let's go into the Edit Features section. And here, if you have designed some badges and you've made them active, this is where you will have a badge settings feature to turn on. So if people, or your staff, or you use the kiosk for them to scan themselves, as soon as they scan, they'll be sent to a print badge page, and their badge will be printed on your badge maker or label maker. To activate, you just turn it on, and then you select. If you have multiple name badges, you can select them in the list here. You can only select one using self-scan. Okay. Gives you some instructions on how to set up your browser. It's recommended that you use Chrome when you're using this feature. Down here are some things pre-programmed in our templates, some messages that occur. So if somebody comes in first time to check in and they're scanned them, you'll see their name says in green, say this person successfully checked in. Great. Then they get error messages if they have already checked in. You'll get a little yellow or orange message saying they've already checked in. They're good. You'll also get an error message if You're trying to print a badge for them again. Just want to let you know one badge has been printed, and somewhere in here, oh, the invalid. So if something's wrong with the code or the barcode, you also get the red error message for scanning. If you want to change those messages, you can by coming in here and updating these fields. Okay. I'm going to save what we turned on here, and if I click the self-scan link, this is what the self-scan page looks like. If I was setting this up on a kiosk or on a laptop, I would activate this page, and then I would close all other programs, all other browser tabs, even my Stova user account. I don't want the timeout feature to interfere with this. If this is the only web page open, this will act in a kiosk mode and will remain open, screen alive, as long as that's the only window open. Okay? So just make sure. Now, another thing I do is on the badges, labels, and certificates page, you saw some of our templates are name and barcode. And that uses a 30-up Avery stock just to print their last name, first name, and barcode. And I will put in some of our staff, or I'll create some fake registrations in our site that I will then use for testing of the scanners. And I'll use that 30-up page to print those pages, print those barcodes out. I've also used that page just as a backup on my check-in table. So if somebody comes to the desk and says, oh, I don't have that email, I know I registered, I can look them up on the paper record and scan them from there. Just a little pro tip for you here using self-scan. Okay. Same thing with public self-check-in, number 3. So here we actually, this is where we pick the fields to be used when they try to check in themselves. Okay. Defaults to the reference ID number or the conferee number, but you can pick whatever you want here. Can be last name, it can be that reference number if you want to use it, email address. You select it here in the login settings. Again, this too has fields for messages as they're checking themselves in, and this can also print a name badge at check-in. Same kind of feature. You turn it on, select the name badge. Okay, make sure you hit save and stay or save and exit. You can customize the page that you'll see here in a minute if you would like with these fields. Otherwise, it's a pretty basic looking page. This is also a kiosk page. So after you've turned it on, if you're going to use this feature, be sure you turn off all other browser pages. Okay, I believe it works that once a person is entered and the name badge is printed, if you're using that feature, then the page refreshes for the next person. Okay. And then the last one is administrator check-in. First, we'll check our settings. You can print name badges from an admin check-in. You can decide the filtering of who shows up here based on their status, confirmed and attended here, and you have a lot more rows to search from. It defaults to the usual 4, but you can add, do we have email address field there, right? Whatever you want. If you want additional fields for searching purposes, you can select up to 10 here. And what information you want displayed on the list, which you'll see here in a minute. Okay, lots of other options here for admin. It's sort of like mobile check-in on steroids. And here's the list. Okay, so here I can start searching for folks here. I can just do an alpha sort if I would like to, and then click the box and they're checked in. Okay, because I had name badging turned on, now this thing is ready to print a name badge. If I need to do a registration on the fly, I can, but it's going to be an admin registration. So you get that skip required field. Okay, this is not something I'd have your attendee fill out. This is for you as the admin to use to get them registered for the event. Let's do a search here for, give me a name. Okay, now if I want to see more information about this attendee, over on the right, I can click the spyglass and it will open up into their attendee profile, just as if I was in the registrant list. Okay, did they pay? Did they get our emails? Okay. Now I mentioned in self-scan that you have to provide the barcode, so let's show you how you can do that. We're going to go to our event emails. And let's do this on the confirmation page. And I'll usually say something like, tell them why they should bring this email to the check-in page. I'm going to go look for merge fields. And I'm going to look for the barcode. Did it hit find? Okay, there we go. And there we go. Just copy it from here. Paste it there, and I usually like to save it there. Now I cannot preview this using the test. Not sure if it works for the test email. I can't preview it by hitting preview email. If I want to see it, I would send it to myself. Actually, I think I could use the test email, come to think of it. But another way is to look at a registration or an attendee profile and hit send email and look at initial confirmation. And that's what they'll see. Okay, so I've used this. Sometimes I design in the email what looks like a ticket. Say, pretty sure you bring your tickets for faster check-in, and the barcode, it looks official. But you'll be able to scan this from a piece of paper or from a phone at check-in. All right. Checking my outline here. Yeah, it looks like we have hit it all. Now, I know I went through check-in very quickly, but we have write-ups on these different types of check-ins on our Stova support site. Here's the quick link for it, or just go to the site and look under the user guide for different check-in options where there's more info on how these different things work. We do have laser scanners that can be reserved. You have to provide the laptop, but you just plug the scanner into your laptop, and usually the scanner or the computer automatically remembers the scanner, and you're able to start using it in Stova right away. There's also information on tech recommendations. If you use scanners a lot or want to use them a lot and you just want to buy your own, the tech specs on the ones we use are there. So yeah, you can check out that information on our support site. And with that, we have come to the end with time to spare. So I know we covered a lot of technical stuff today, but I wanted to open this up for any questions. I don't see anything in the chat. Any questions about virtual features of Stova, the badging, labeling, certificate, merge features of Stova, or the check-in features? So just getting a word about check-in is that you don't have to be limited to using one. In fact, for many of our events, we use multiple check-in options. At the check-in table, we'll have the scanners set up for the people who are on the clue bus and bring their merge or their barcodes. We will have mobile check-in for those people who registered and forgot the barcodes. We'll also set up even the self-check-in so they can get in quickly, and maybe even admin registration check-in for, just to have it for emergencies. So, uh, hi, Jennifer. Yeah, what we're going to do actually is Jennifer was asking if she can get access to the other master classes. And what we're going to do is we're going to release those to the public. They're currently on our YouTube site as not privates, unlisteds. So we're going to release those, open those up to the public, and then make an announcement that they're available on our YouTube channel, where you can enjoy them at your leisure. All right? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it doesn't have to be questions about just what we covered today. Anything Stova related. You have 3 account admins on the line, so you're welcome to ask questions about anything Stova related. Okay, well, sometimes it takes a while for it to sink in, and then you have your questions. If that is the case, or you're just shy, you can post your questions to the Slack channel or DM us through Slack. You again can go to our support site and see if we have the answers already for you there. You can also send us an email at stova@asu.edu. We're happy to answer that by email. Or if you have a special use case or a special need, we can set up some office hours or consultation to talk about your specific issues. Happy to help however you need it. So I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm not hearing anyone coming over the microphones. So with that, I guess I'm going to give you 10 minutes back to your day. So, I should mention we have some other webinars coming up next week. Laura is teaching the marketing module webinar, and then the week after that, we're doing another essentials class. So if you are interested in a refresher on the registration module, or you've got new staff coming on board, you want to get them up to speed quickly, that would be the essentials class. Then we're taking a week off for homecoming. Sorry, the essentials is after homecoming. And then final 2 webinars will be talking about the website builder module of Stova. And finally, the last master class is an event administration where we talk about all the reporting features available in the registration module or Stova. Okay, so hope to see you at one of those other webinars. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day. Bye now.